Hey guys, Brendan from TAT here. Today I've got a common rail transit van. Looks like it's got an injector issue, so I just want to show you some basic testing of common rail injectors on the car. Okay, so we've got this transit van. It is a little bit intermittent, but most of the time it is running with a heavy misfire, so a severe misfire, even at idle, dead miss. Comes good every now and then if you cycle the ignition. Most time misfire. Now it does have a flashing glow plug light, which is kind of their check engine light. It does have a fault code. It's P0200 injector circuit malfunction. Now that's not specifically picking out which cylinder injector. There's little to no data on all of my scan tools for this thing. It's a 2005 model 2.4 litre Duratorque. So there's no sort of injector feedback values, anything like that. So we're going to have to manually test to work out which cylinder's going on and what's happening with the injector. So if we come down and take a look, a lot of people, they're not used to using a scope and they don't like when I use it. So I want to use some slightly more basic tools. So yes, you could certainly grab a scope, but hey, if you don't have a Pico or whatnot, there's different ways to go about this and we can prove the same things. Yes, you're going to need some electrical test equipment though. You're not going to be able to do it with a 10mm spanner and a screwdriver. So what we've got, if I show you the car running, we'll start her up. See, pretty unhappy, struggles to get much acceleration. I would say it's even a 2-cylinder miss, it's very, very poor. So first thing we need to do is find out, are all 4 injectors electrically being actuated? Now, various ways you could do that. Any inductive way is going to be the easiest. So we could use an amp clamp up on the scope, which I've got now when I'm on cylinder 4. There is no current happening on cylinder 4, that's great. We could use, you may have seen me use this GTC 505. Technically it's a petrol ignition analyzer, but essentially it's just an inductive probe as well. So if we turn this guy on, and I'm going to go to an inductive sort of current style, so that would be ramp time, and we would put this on an ignition coil and watch the current inductively. Well, we can do that on an injector as well, or any kind of solenoid electrical actuator. So if I come down here onto near the electrical connector of cylinder number 2, you'll see that every now and then I'm picking up some current there. So right, that injector is definitely doing something. If I come to number 1, if you look on the screen here on the tool, so definitely we have no activity happening on cylinder number 1. We go back down at cylinder number 3, definitely have activity, and then cylinder number 4, absolutely nothing. Okay, so straight away, pretty quickly, I know I'm not getting any electrical circuit happening on cylinders 1 and 4, and that is fairly typical. If we've got an electrical issue, they're going to share a driver for your companion cylinders, cylinder 1 and 4, cylinder 2 and 3 in this case. So it's got an electrical issue, I'd say, on one of either injector 1 or 4, and it's shut down both of them. So we need to work out, is it something wrong with the driver, is it wiring, is it an injector? So next easy test, basic tools, just a multimeter. Alright, so if we turn the car off, something I'd recommend you do to make stuff like this a bit easier is I have an assortment of connectors. So these are Delphi injectors. This is the connector they use. You can buy these from your local diesel store, probably sells them. I did get these from cheaper diesel spares on Gold Coast. Genuine, whatever you want to do, get some connectors. It's going to make testing a lot easier than trying to get your 2 multimeter test points in onto those injectors, right? I've then just connected it via these little common electrical sort of grabbers, and now we can do some testing on this injector. So if I get a light, these Delphi injectors, the long skinny ones, you might have seen the not super long like the Great Wall, but you would have seen I've done some testing on a Captiva. There was a video. They are an odd shaped one, but they are a solenoid injector. Okay, so testing of Piezo and solenoid injectors is going to be slightly different. You can look at capacitance on Piezos. This is a solenoid injector, so I'm just connected in there on the injector now. Take our multimeter. First thing we're going to want to do is test the resistance through the solenoid. So we've got continuity through the solenoid, 0.2 ohms. That is reasonable for a solenoid injector. It's a high current device, so I am expecting a very low resistance, and obviously it's not held on for a very long time to minimize heat and whatnot. So I'm happy that we have integrity through that injector. Now if I take one of these leads, we're now testing from the injector solenoid to ground. So if I just find a metal part of the engine, and we're registering 61 mega ohms there. So we've got some continuity from the injector to ground. In this case, it's in the millions of ohms, which is quite reasonable. The better way to do this, and as I say, we're using basic tools here, but the better way to do this is using what they call a mega tester. So this ohm meter is only putting through millivolts through the system, and the millivolts is able to get from the solenoid through the casing of the injector to a ground path, which technically it really shouldn't. The ideal way, because this circuit is run over 100 volts, we would want to put over 100 volts through to test it. So a mega tester is really no different to your little ohm meter, but you can choose how much voltage you want to put through. You can put 50, 100, 1,000 volts with some of them, right? And that would be a better way to test the insulation. Now I can tell you, when we do this test on the multimeter, we're in the mega ohms there, right? When we do it with, when I do it on my multimeter or in mega ohms, when I do it with a mega tester on cylinder number 4 at the back there, we're in kilo ohms, and that is our problem. So we need more voltage to be able to go through the system to, I suppose, prove that leak that is happening through the insulation of the injector. But basically we have a path to earth from the internal solenoid through the body of the injector to earth, and when I turn the car off, unplug cylinder number 4, cylinder number 1 actually comes back online, because it's noticed that there was a path to earth, so it had shut down the driver for both of those injectors. By simply unplugging it and then running the thing again, cylinder 1 comes back online. Obviously cylinder 4 is not working because it's unplugged. So in this case we just have one faulty injector with earth leakage, and yes, a mega tester is the way to do it. If you get one that's really bad though, a simple multimeter, and if you can get a reading in kilo ohms, you know you've got a problem. Just for the sake of it, when I go to the good, perfect ones, cylinder 2 and 3, using my multimeter on resistance, I get an open circuit, which is perfect. We get no continuity between the body and earth. So some quick testing there, guys, just to help you out with injectors. See ya.